Mindset, the new psychology of success. Introduction. Imagine two people facing the exact same challenge. One sees it as proof they're not good enough and quietly gives up. The other sees it as an opportunity to learn, improve, and come back stronger. Same challenge, two completely different outcomes. That's the power of mindset. In Mindset, the new psychology of success, world-renowned psychologist Carol S. Dweck reveals a groundbreaking truth: the way we think about our abilities, intelligence, and potential shapes every area of our lives, from school and work to sports, relationships, and personal growth. She explains that people generally operate from one of two core mindsets. The fixed mindset, believing that qualities like intelligence and talent are set in stone. You either have them or you don't. The growth mindset, believing that abilities can be developed through dedication, effort, and learning. This isn't just a self-help idea. It's backed by decades of scientific research. And the implications are life-changing. Over the next 8 chapters, we'll explore what these mindsets are, how they shape your success, and, most importantly, how you can change your mindset to unlock your true potential. So hit the subscribe button, get ready. Because by the end of this journey, you'll have the tools to transform not just the way you think, but the way you live. Chapter 1: The Mindsets. Imagine two students sitting side by side in a classroom. Both just got their math test results. One student sees the low grade, shrugs, and thinks, "I guess I'm just not a math person." The other sees the same low grade and says, "All right, I need to figure out where I went wrong and try again." Same situation, two completely different mindsets. Carol Dweck begins her book by revealing this hidden force that quietly shapes every success or failure, the mindset you carry. And how the difference in belief can shape the course of your life. 1. Fixed mindset: the trap of, "This is who I am." A fixed mindset is the belief that your qualities, intelligence, talent, creativity, personality, are set in stone. If you're smart, you'll always be smart. If you're bad at something, there's no point in trying because that's just who you are. People with a fixed mindset often avoid challenges for fear of looking foolish, give up quickly when faced with obstacles, see effort as something only not talented people need, feel threatened by others' success because it makes them question their own worth. In this mindset, failure is not just an event, it's an identity. One bad performance can mean, "I'm not good enough." 2. Growth mindset: the power of not yet. The growth mindset flips the script entirely. Here, abilities are seen as muscles. They can be strengthened with use, practice, and persistence. Intelligence is not a fixed number. It's something that can be developed. In this mindset, challenges are exciting, not threatening. Effort is the road to mastery. Failure is not the end, it's simply feedback. The success of others becomes inspiration, not intimidation. People with a growth mindset understand that saying, "I can't do this," is not final, it just means, "I can't do this yet." 3. Mindsets in real life. Dweck shares powerful real-world examples. In sports, a young athlete with a fixed mindset may avoid extra training because they believe talent alone should win games. Another with a growth mindset will put in extra hours, learning from each mistake until they improve. In school, a child labeled gifted might freeze the moment they face a subject they're not naturally good at. Meanwhile, a classmate who believes in hard work will keep going until they figure it out. In careers, professionals with a fixed mindset plateau early, avoiding feedback. Growth-minded professionals actively seek constructive criticism because they know it's the fastest way to level up. 4. Why this matters. Your mindset quietly influences every choice you make, from how you deal with setbacks to whether you embrace or avoid opportunities. It determines how much of your potential you actually tap into. The beautiful part? Mindset is not fixed. Even someone deep in a fixed mindset can shift to a growth mindset with awareness, practice, and the willingness to change the way they think. Key takeaway from Chapter 1. It's not just talent or intelligence that predicts success, it's the belief about whether those qualities can be improved. Once you adopt a growth mindset, you unlock the ability to learn anything, overcome anything, and continuously become better than you were yesterday. Chapter 2: Inside the Mindsets. Now that we understand the basic difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset, Carol Dweck takes us deeper into how these mindsets actually operate in daily life. She shows us that a mindset is more than just a belief, it's a whole internal framework that shapes how we interpret events, respond to challenges, and even how we define success. In the fixed mindset, success is all about proving yourself. Every situation is a test, a chance to measure whether you're smart, talented, or worthy. If you succeed, you feel validated. If you fail, you feel exposed. This leads to a constant pressure to look competent, even at the expense of actually learning or improving. People with a fixed mindset often avoid difficult situations, because in their minds, difficulty equals the risk of failure, and failure equals the risk of being found out as not truly talented. They might reject feedback, because criticism feels like a personal attack instead of useful information. They may also compare themselves relentlessly to others, feeling threatened by anyone else's success. In the growth mindset, success isn't about proving you're already great, it's about improving over time. Challenges are welcome because they're seen as opportunities to learn. Effort isn't something to be ashamed of, it's the very thing that produces results. People with a growth mindset take feedback as a gift. If someone points out a weakness, they think, "Great, now I know what to work on." They don't see others' success as a threat, instead, it becomes inspiration. This attitude creates a kind of resilience, the ability to recover from setbacks faster, because mistakes aren't seen as final verdicts. Dweck emphasizes an important truth here: mindsets create self-fulfilling prophecies. If you believe your abilities are fixed, you'll avoid situations that could help you grow, and over time, you really will stagnate. On the other hand, if you believe you can develop, you'll seek out challenges, learn from mistakes, and inevitably improve. She also reveals something many people miss: mindsets aren't black and white. You can have a growth mindset in one area of life, say, sports or cooking, but a fixed mindset in another area, like public speaking or business. The key is to start noticing where each mindset shows up for you. By understanding how these mental frameworks operate, you can begin to catch yourself in the moment, to recognize, that's my fixed mindset talking, and choose to respond differently. This chapter closes with an invitation: start paying attention to your own internal dialogue. The way you explain success and failure to yourself is the clearest window into your mindset, and it's the first step toward changing it. Chapter 3: The Truth About Ability and Accomplishment. Carol Dweck opens this chapter with a myth-busting statement: natural talent is overrated. Society loves stories of prodigies: the child who plays the piano at age 3 or the genius who solves complex math problems without formal training. But these stories can be misleading. They create the illusion that true success is a product of innate gifts rather than sustained effort. In the fixed mindset, this myth is embraced. People believe that ability is like a fingerprint: you're born with it, and it doesn't change. If you're talented, you'll succeed effortlessly. If you struggle, it's a sign you just don't have it. But the growth mindset sees a very different truth: ability can be developed through effort, strategies, and persistence. Intelligence, skill, and creativity are not static qualities. They grow when we challenge ourselves, make mistakes, and keep practicing. Dweck uses real-life examples to illustrate this. She talks about famous athletes, musicians, and scientists who weren't instantly brilliant. They became extraordinary because they kept working long after others stopped. Michael Jordan didn't make his high school varsity basketball team the first time he tried out. Einstein didn't speak fluently until age 4. The pattern is clear: the most accomplished people treat setbacks as fuel for growth, not as proof of inadequacy. She also points to research showing that effort has a compounding effect. It doesn't just produce better results, it builds confidence and resilience. When you push through a challenge and succeed, you develop a belief in your own ability to improve. That belief drives you to take on even bigger challenges, creating a positive upward spiral. One of the dangers of a fixed mindset is the effort paradox. People who believe ability is fixed often see effort as proof of weakness. If you were truly smart or talented, you wouldn't have to try so hard, right? This leads them to avoid challenges entirely, which ironically prevents them from ever reaching their full potential. In contrast, growth-minded individuals see effort as the very thing that makes you better. They understand that practice isn't a sign you're lacking, it's the process that transforms potential into reality. The takeaway from this chapter is simple but profound. Your starting point doesn't determine your finish line. You might not be the fastest learner today, but with the right mindset, you can become someone remarkable over time. Dweck closes by warning against labeling ourselves or others too early. When we call a child gifted, or say someone is just not a math person, we're locking them into a fixed identity that can shape their entire future. Instead, we should focus on effort, strategies, and progress, the things we can actually control. Chapter 4: Sports: The Mindset of a Champion. Carol Dweck dives into the competitive world of sports to show how mindset can make or break an athlete's career. At first glance, it's tempting to think top athletes are simply born with extraordinary ability. But Dweck's research, and countless real-world examples, show that natural talent alone is never enough. In the fixed mindset, athletes believe their skills are predetermined. If they're naturally gifted, they expect to win without much effort. But when faced with a stronger opponent or a slump in performance, they often crumble, because failure threatens their self-image. To protect that image, some avoid challenges, skip hard training, or even quit altogether. On the other hand, growth-minded athletes see setbacks as training grounds. They know that consistent effort, deliberate practice, and learning from mistakes are what lead to peak performance. To them, losing a match or missing a shot isn't humiliation. It's valuable feedback for improvement. Dweck highlights Michael Jordan as a prime example. Often celebrated as the most talented basketball player of all time, Jordan himself admitted that talent wasn't what made him great. He became a legend because of relentless practice, an obsession with improvement, and the willingness to learn from every failure. He was famously cut from his high school varsity team, and instead of giving up, he trained harder than ever. She also discusses Billie Jean King, the tennis icon, who consistently sought ways to improve even after becoming number one in the world. King's focus wasn't just on winning titles, but on refining her skills and mental game day after day. Dweck contrasts these champions with athletes who had early success but plateaued because they relied on raw talent alone. Without the humility to keep learning, they were eventually overtaken by hungrier, growth-minded competitors. One of the most powerful lessons here is the role of practice under pressure. Champions don't just practice what they're already good at, they deliberately practice the things they struggle with. They train when they're tired, play in bad weather, and simulate high-stress situations so they can perform under any condition. Dweck also emphasizes the mental side of sports. The growth mindset helps athletes recover from mistakes quickly during a game. Instead of dwelling on a missed shot, they focus on the next play. This mental resilience often determines who wins when two opponents are physically equal. The chapter closes with a truth that applies beyond sports. Becoming a champion is not about being the best today, it's about being better tomorrow than you were yesterday. Next is Chapter 5, Business, Mindset and Leadership, where we see how these same principles determine whether leaders create thriving organizations or destroy them. And spoiler: it's not just about IQ or strategy, it's about how they handle challenges, feedback, and growth. Chapter 5, Business, Mindset and Leadership. In the world of business, Carol Dweck shows that the difference between thriving companies and those that collapse often comes down to the mindset of their leaders. Success isn't just about having the sharpest strategy or the most capital, it's about how leaders think about growth, challenges, and people. Leaders with a fixed mindset see themselves as naturally brilliant visionaries. They believe their success proves their superiority, and they often surround themselves with people who praise rather than challenge them. The danger? When problems arise, they tend to hide mistakes, ignore feedback, and look for someone to blame. Over time, innovation slows, morale drops, and the company suffers. In contrast, growth-minded leaders see business as a learning journey. They welcome challenges, value constructive criticism, and constantly seek ways to improve themselves and their teams. They know that admitting, "I don't know," is not a weakness, it's the first step to finding better solutions. Dweck points to examples like Lou Gerstner, who turned IBM around in the 1990s. Instead of relying on past glory, he reshaped the company culture to embrace change, collaboration, and continuous improvement. His leadership was about learning, not just defending a reputation. She also examines Enron as a cautionary tale of fixed mindset culture. At Enron, executives hired for natural brilliance and cultivated an image of perfection. Mistakes were hidden, dissenting voices were silenced, and appearances mattered more than actual results. The fixed mindset created a toxic environment that ultimately led to the company's infamous collapse. In thriving organizations, employees are encouraged to experiment and take calculated risks without fear of humiliation. Feedback is seen as a tool for growth, not a personal attack. This mindset fosters innovation and adaptability, crucial traits in fast-changing markets. One standout point in this chapter is how mindset shapes hiring and promotion decisions. Fixed mindset leaders often choose people who won't threaten their ego, while growth-minded leaders choose people who can teach them something new. Over time, the latter builds a far stronger team. Dweck also warns about the CEO disease, when leaders become so insulated by flattery that they stop hearing the truth. Growth-minded leaders actively fight against this by creating open channels for honest feedback, no matter how uncomfortable it may be. The chapter ends with a powerful reminder for anyone in business. In a growth mindset, it's not about being the boss who knows it all, it's about being the leader who is always willing to learn. Next is relationships, mindsets in love, or not, where Dweck shows how the same principles that build great athletes and companies also determine the success of our personal relationships. Chapter 6: Relationships, Mindsets in Love, or Not. Carol Dweck takes the concept of mindset into the deeply personal world of relationships, from romantic love to friendships and family bonds. She explains that the way we see ourselves and others fundamentally shapes how we give and receive love, handle conflict, and sustain long-term connections. People with a fixed mindset often believe that relationships are either meant to be or not meant to be. They expect instant chemistry, perfect harmony, and minimal effort. If problems arise, they see them as signs of incompatibility rather than opportunities for growth. These individuals may also become defensive when criticized, feeling that any flaw in the relationship reflects badly on their worth. On the other hand, those with a growth mindset understand that love is not a static state. It's a living, evolving partnership that requires work, communication, and mutual effort. They see challenges not as red flags, but as normal parts of building a deeper connection. Instead of running at the first sign of conflict, they ask, "What can we learn from this?" Dweck highlights a key truth: even the happiest couples argue. The difference is how they approach those disagreements. Growth-minded couples use conflicts to strengthen their understanding of each other, while fixed-mindset couples often fall into blame, resentment, and emotional withdrawal. Another major insight is how mindset affects the way we give and receive feedback in relationships. In a fixed mindset, feedback feels like an attack, as if being told you hurt someone means you're a bad partner or unlovable. In a growth mindset, feedback is an act of care, a signal that your partner values the relationship enough to work on it together. Dweck also addresses forgiveness. In fixed mindset relationships, mistakes can feel unforgivable because they prove something negative about the person's character. In growth mindset relationships, mistakes are viewed in context, as opportunities to rebuild trust and show commitment to change. She also notes that mindset plays a role in choosing partners. Fixed mindset individuals often look for someone who will constantly validate their worth, while growth-minded individuals seek partners who will grow with them, challenge them, and help them become better versions of themselves. A memorable point in this chapter: true love is less about finding a flawless partner and more about creating a resilient, evolving bond together. By the end of the chapter, Dweck leaves us with this reflection. The best relationships are not the ones that avoid storms, but the ones that learn how to dance in the rain together. Chapter 7: Parents, Teachers, and Coaches: How Mindsets Shape Development. In this chapter, Carol Dweck shifts her focus to the powerful influence that authority figures, parents, teachers, and coaches, have on the mindset of those they guide. She makes it clear, the way we speak to, reward, and challenge others can either foster growth or cement a fixed way of thinking. 1. The subtle power of messages. Dweck explains that mindset is often shaped indirectly by the messages we send, sometimes without realizing it. Fixed mindset praise, telling a child, "You're so smart," or "You're a natural," may seem encouraging, but it reinforces the idea that ability is something you either have or you don't. Growth mindset praise, saying, "You worked really hard on this," or "I like the strategies you used," focuses on effort, process, and learning, showing that improvement is possible through persistence. The lesson here is simple but profound: praise the process, not the person. 2. The role of parents. Parents who value learning over perfection help children see mistakes as part of growth. In contrast, parents who focus heavily on performance, grades, trophies, appearances, may unintentionally instill a fear of failure. Growth-minded parents ask, "What did you learn?" instead of, "What grade did you get?" They normalize setbacks and use them as teaching moments. 3. Teachers as mindset architects. In the classroom, a teacher's expectations can shape a student's future. When teachers believe intelligence is fixed, they often give up on struggling students too quickly. But teachers with a growth mindset see every student as capable of progress, and adjust their methods until learning happens. One striking example Dweck shares is of a teacher who replaced the grade F with "Not yet." This small shift told students they were still on the path, not at the end of it. Motivation soared. 4. Coaches in the world of sports. The principles apply in sports too. Fixed mindset coaches often focus on talent, favoring those who excel early and sidelining those who struggle. Growth-minded coaches, however, push every player to improve, knowing that late bloomers can surpass early stars with enough development. She recounts stories of legendary coaches who didn't just produce champions, they built resilient people who carried those lessons into life beyond sports. 5. The hidden danger of labeling. Labels like gifted, slow, natural leader, or problem child can stick for life. In a fixed mindset, labels feel permanent. In a growth mindset, labels lose power, because identity is not frozen, it's evolving. Key takeaway from Chapter 7. Whether you're a parent, teacher, or coach, you are a mindset shaper. The words you use, the expectations you set, and the way you handle mistakes send a lasting message. Fixed mindset message. Your worth is tied to instant success. Growth mindset message. You can get better through effort, learning, and resilience. Our job is not to judge who they are today, but to believe in who they can become tomorrow. Chapter 8. Changing Mindsets. In this chapter, Carol Dweck delivers the most empowering message of the entire book: mindset is not fixed, it can be changed. Even those who have lived years with a fixed mindset can train themselves to adopt a growth-oriented way of thinking. 1. Recognizing your fixed mindset triggers. The first step is awareness. Everyone has fixed mindset triggers, situations that spark fear of failure, defensiveness, or the need to prove oneself. It might be receiving criticism, facing someone more skilled than you, or struggling in a new, unfamiliar task. Dweck says, catch yourself in these moments. Awareness is the door to change. 2. The power of yet. Replacing "I can't do this" with "I can't do this yet" changes the brain's perspective. Yet keeps you in a learning frame, signaling that your current struggle is temporary, not a permanent verdict on your ability. 3. Talking back to your fixed mindset voice. Dweck introduces the concept of the two voices in your head. Fixed mindset voice. If I fail, I'm not smart enough. Growth mindset voice. If I fail, I'll learn something to get better. When the fixed mindset voice shows up, respond back with growth-oriented language. Instead of, I'm not good at this, say, I'm still learning how to do this. Instead of, I'm not a natural, say, I can get better with practice. 4. Choosing challenges over comfort. Shifting to a growth mindset means deliberately putting yourself in situations that stretch you. Take the harder project. Learn the unfamiliar skill. Accept constructive criticism. Over time, these choices build resilience and confidence. 5. Making it a lifestyle. Changing mindset isn't a one-time decision, it's a lifelong practice. Surround yourself with growth-minded people. Read and learn from those who overcame failure. Keep asking, what can I learn from this? The more you practice, the more natural the growth mindset becomes, until it's your default setting for life. Final takeaway. Dweck closes with this truth: your potential is not predetermined. With effort, strategy, and learning, you can expand what's possible in relationships, work, sports, and life itself. Becoming is better than being. If this audiobook inspired you, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe, share, and join us for more life-changing audiobooks here on Books on Audio TV. Your next chapter starts now. All it takes is 1 hour.